The universe is infinite, but does it have consciousness? If the universal principle states as above, so below, can we really find a fractal image of the human organism in the universe? Can space be viewed not just as chaotic emptiness, but as a living, intelligent organism? To find the answer, we will embark on a journey beyond our known boundaries. We will immerse ourselves in the depths of one of the largest cosmic superclusters, the one of which we ourselves are a part, Laniakea. When we look at the night sky, we see countless stars that fill the space. But where exactly are we in this immeasurable vastness? Our planet Earth orbits around the Sun, which itself is part of the spiral galaxy Milky Way, containing between 100 billion and 400 billion star systems. This range is conditional because the exact number cannot be determined with absolute precision. This is because the galaxy is vast and complex. Some stars are located in hard-to-reach areas, like its central part, where gas and dust block visibility. We constantly discover new stars thanks to advancements in observations like the Gaia telescope. Scientists refine the data. The definition of a star system varies. Some stars exist independently, while others have planets, forming planetary systems. This galaxy, in turn, does not exist independently, but is part of a larger system of galaxies known as the Local Group, which includes more than 80 galaxies, among them the Milky Way, Andromeda, Triangle, as well as numerous smaller satellite galaxies like the Magellanic Clouds and the Leo Galaxy. But even this group is not isolated. It belongs to an even larger cosmic structure, the Virgo cluster, which, together with many other galaxy clusters, forms one of the largest known superclusters, Laniakea. We are inside this gravitational stream, which forms an invisible but powerful structure consisting of about 100,000 galaxies. Years ago, people believed that our solar system moved horizontally around the Sun, but later, they learned that it follows a spiral path through space because the Sun itself is in motion. This discovery led to new understandings of the dynamics of our galaxy and its relationship with other galaxies. Determining the exact boundaries of a galaxy is a complex process for scientists, and even more difficult is establishing the beginning and end of a supercluster. Galaxies often interact with each other through gravitational forces and dark matter, making the distinction of individual structures challenging. In 2014, astronomers Brent Tully, Hélène Courtois, and their team mapped the streams of thousands of galaxies and discovered something astonishing. Our galaxy, along with about 100,000 others, is moving in a common direction. They do not merely exist in one space, but interact through gravity and dark matter. This structure is called Laniakea. In Hawaiian, it means endless skies. The name was given by the researchers to emphasize the vastness of the supercluster and its connectivity to the entire cosmic. Structure. Although we cannot see them directly, the gravitational currents that connect the galaxies in Laniakea are powerful and create a dynamic network. They work like cosmic currents, steering each galaxy along its path. At the heart of this process is the Great Attractor, a region of superconcentrated mass that acts as a gravitational center, attracting the surrounding galaxies. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is also moving towards it at a speed of over 600 kilometers per second. The gravitational currents in this supercluster resemble the ways in which rivers shape the landscape of our planet. Invisible forces gather galaxies into groups, hold them in dynamic balance, and direct them towards the gravitational center, known as the Great Attractor. All of this creates the impression that the supercluster has its own internal organization. But let's take another step beyond astronomy and ask ourselves, if the universe follows principles similar to those in living systems on Earth, can we view it as a giant, self-regulating, intelligent structure? Is it possible that not only Earth, but the entire cosmic fabric possesses consciousness, even if on scales that are difficult for us to comprehend? The question of the consciousness of the universe is ancient. Even in ancient philosophical teachings, there was talk of anima mundi, the soul of the world that penetrates everything. Today, quantum physics and cosmology once again raise this question. Is the universe simply a mechanical process, or is there some kind of intention, structure, memory in it? From our earthly journey, it is often concluded that life and creation constantly move and seek ways for development and expansion. The evolution of organisms, the development of the human race, and our way of life. All of this shows the constant need for expanding and unfolding the universal potential towards something greater than the experienced existence. As early as the beginning of the 20th century, astronomers began to realize that the universe is not static. Edwin Hubble, through observations with the largest telescopes of his time, discovered that galaxies are moving away from each other. This discovery led to the formulation of Hubble's law, which states that the rate of expansion of the universe is proportional to the distance between objects. If we follow the official theory about the Big Bang, this expansion is the result of the initial impulse. the impulse given by the Big Bang around 13.8 billion years ago. Thus, scientists understand that the universe is not static. It moves and constantly expands over time. With the development of astronomy and physics, scientists discover that this expansion not only continues, but also accelerates. This suggests the existence of dark energy, a concept introduced by scientists to describe the unknown force that counteracts gravity and pushes the universe towards ever faster expansion. Despite its name, it is not literally dark, but rather an unexplored area of our knowledge. It is possible that this energy can be explained by quantum fluctuations in spacetime itself, where virtual particles constantly appear and disappear, creating an effect that seems like a repulsive force. According to observations, dark energy, or rather the unknown energy that drives the expansion of the universe, constitutes about 68% of the total energy density of the universe. The expansion of the universe raises the question of what force counteracts the disintegration of its structures. It turns out that gravity plays a crucial role. It attracts matter and prevents the chaotic scattering of galaxies. Thus, as the universe expands, gravity holds its parts together, creating a dynamic balance between the two forces. It is through this balance that scientists are able to identify streams of galaxies that not only move apart, but also move in coordinated patterns. At the core of this process is the Great Attractor, a mysterious area with extremely large gravitational force that draws billions of stars and galaxies in its direction. Observations show that the Milky Way, along with the other galaxies from Laniakea, is moving toward this region at a speed of about 600 kilometers per second. This process is not chaotic, but follows patterns governed by invisible gravitational flows. Similar to neural connections in the human brain, galaxies do not move in isolation, but in synchronized patterns that reflect the complex interconnectedness of matter in space. In this way, Laniakea not only pulls the galaxies, but shapes a gravitational dance in which each galaxy plays its role in the overall dynamics. For centuries, people have tried to understand the nature of the universe and its connection to human consciousness. Modern scientific research shows an astonishing similarity between the way galaxies are organized in the universe and the structure of neural networks in the human brain. Is this just a coincidence? Or is there a deeper connection between the macrocosm and the body, the microcosm? Research in the fields of cosmology and neuroscience reveals some striking coincidences. First, fractal organization. Just as galaxies in the universe group into clusters and superclusters, neurons in the brain form interconnected networks. Our brain connections are formed thanks to impulses that come from our consciousness. If that is so, then it follows that cosmic consciousness should form the impulses generating the formation of connections and gravitational currents from one system to another. Often, we humans have thought of space as chaos, which simply is. Now, however, we understand that chaos from our perspective is nothing more than an unfamiliar order. Galaxies interact through gravitational and energy fields, while neurons communicate through electrochemical signals. If we compare the images of the galactic network and the neural connections in the brain, we will see a striking visual resemblance. If the structure of the universe resembles that of the brain, then we could say we have evidence that space, in any case, possesses a form of intelligence. The more precise question is what kind it is. If we turn to the Hermetic principles, we will find that the all is mind and the world is mental. This, on the one hand, may sound as though the world is an illusion, or as if it is only in our heads. And to a large extent, we would be right about that. But there is another hint expressed in this ancient wisdom: the suggestion that everything in the universe, as well as the universe itself, experiences itself as a person. In our days, some scientists are beginning to suggest that the universe itself might be a form of living consciousness. In quantum mechanics, every substance or object is considered as carriers of certain energy states. In the context of Laniakea, all 100,000 galaxies in the supercluster can be arranged as nodes of an extremely complex energy network, which in the quantum world would exist as a unified system of probabilities and interactions. When we consider energy lines, we can talk about interactions between these galaxies that affect each other through gravity and even through non-locality. But what does it mean? Non-locality. Mysticism often speaks of the existence of mysterious paths, networks, or lines that connect everything in the universe. From a mystical perspective, each node in Laniakea can be perceived not only as a physical object, but also as a point of consciousness or energy field. Mysticism often uses metaphors like lines of light, energy flows, and nodes of existence. In this context, the nodes of Laniakea can be perceived as synchronizations of cosmic consciousness, manifesting itself through the interaction of galaxies and the forces governing them. Bell's theorem, proposed by physicist John Bell in 1964, actually lays the foundation for proving quantum non-locality, which refers to the idea that particles can be connected in a way not explained by classical concepts of space and time. Local realistic theories of classical physics state that each particle has a definite state, which is independent of the external world and does not depend on distant events. Bell's theorem and the experiments that follow from it, such as those conducted by Alain Aspect and his team in 1982, prove that the results of quantum measurements cannot be explained by local hidden variables. That is, reality is not as localized as we would imagine in classical physics. This means that when two particles are entangled in quantum entanglement, each of them can instantly affect the state of the other, regardless of the distance between them, violating classical notions of causality and locality. From a philosophical and mystical perspective, this suggestion of instantaneous connection between different parts of the universe also reminds us of concepts from ancient philosophies that speak of the unity of all that exists and the invisible energy lines that connect every particle and every being in the cosmos. The Upanishads, which are part of Indian philosophy and spirituality, speak of the profound unity of the universe. In the Chandogya Upanishad, the idea of the unity and interconnectedness of all beings and phenomena in the universe is illustrated. This Upanishad talks about how every event, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, has universal significance and influence. Just as when a tree branches out, every blade of grass, every plant, every part of the vegetation trembles in harmony. So too, when a flower blooms, the whole universe rejoices. In Taoism, the central principle is Tao, the path or the fundamental principle of the universe, which unites all things. The classic text of Taoism, Tao Te Ching, the Tao and its power. Laozi speaks about how the universe follows its own rhythm, which is beyond human understanding, yet completely harmonious. The Tao is something infinite and formless. When expressed, it creates all things. In Egyptian mythology and religion, there is the concept of Ma'at, the cosmic order and harmony that unites the universe and the beings within it. Ma'at symbolizes truth, justice, and balance, and this concept is used to explain the global interconnectedness of all that exists. In Tibetan Buddhism, there is the concept of pratatya samutpada, dependent origination, which says that all things and events in the world are interconnected. Nothing exists independently. Everything is interconnected with everything else. Many of the alchemical and mystical traditions, such as those from the Middle Ages or later, speak of the release of energy, the web of life, or the secret connection between all things. They aim to reveal the invisible lines that link all things into a unified, harmonious process. In alchemy, for example, the process of transforming base metals into gold is not only a physical act, but also a metaphor for the transformation of the human soul. It also suggests the knowledge proven by human science. Energy is never lost, it only transforms. Sacred geometry. Sacred geometry as a concept unites ancient knowledge of the structure of the universe with mathematical and philosophical principles. This is a collection of geometric forms and patterns considered as the foundation of cosmic harmony, and can be seen as a universal language through which nature and the universe are organized and expressed. The question of how sacred geometry is reflected in cosmic structures is multi-layered and encompasses both science and mysticism. Sacred geometry claims that basic geometric shapes like the circle, Spiral, triangle, and pentagon are not only aesthetically harmonious, but also fundamental to the structure of the universe. These shapes are at the core of nature, from molecules to galaxies. For example, in the Fibonacci spiral, or the golden spiral, which is associated with the Fibonacci number, we can see how the geometry of nature follows mathematical models found everywhere, from the arrangement of tree leaves to the shape of galaxies. In this context, sacred geometry is perceived as the foundation for constructing the very structures of the universe. The universe is not random, but is built through certain mathematical principles that organize matter and energy in its existence. Some of the main geometric structures that can be seen in space include spirals and symmetry. One of the most striking examples is the structure of galaxies. Spiral galaxies like our Milky Way are an expression of spiral geometry, which can be connected with ancient symbols like the golden ratio. The golden ratio, or the divine proportion, is a proportion found everywhere, from the physical structures of plants and animals to architectural and cosmological forms. This geometry is also present in the way galaxies and stars form. These structures follow patterns resembling numerical sequences like Fibonacci and ratios close to the golden ratio. When we examine cosmic structures like superclusters and galaxies, we can observe one of the same principles of order observed in sacred geometry. For example, when examining the networks of galaxies in space, they are often arranged in images of geometric structures, linear structures, spirals, and connections that have a mathematical basis, which closely resembles the principles of sacred geometry. In many spiritual teachings, sacred geometry holds a deeper meaning related to spirit and consciousness. Shapes like the flower of life, the Platonic solids. Metatron's cube are symbols used to represent the cosmic essence and interactions between different levels of reality. These geometric shapes are considered physical expressions of spiritual truths. The idea that the universe is a vibration is an ancient concept that is reflected in both philosophy and modern physics. If everything is frequency and movement, this suggests that the universe is not static, but a dynamic and constantly changing system in which every particle and event is part of a continuously vibrating network. Since ancient times, various philosophical and spiritual traditions have viewed the universe as an expression of vibrations and energy flows. In Indian philosophy, for example, the concept of Shabda Brahman, the universal sound, is an important part of understanding the world. According to the Upanishads, sound is the foundation of existence, and the universe consists of waves of energy that form all existence. The question of vibration and sound is also found in Taoist teachings, where tau is perceived as the fundamental principle that maintains the harmony of the universe, and everything in nature is an expression of this sound or vibration. Contemporary science, especially quantum physics, provides a new understanding of vibrations in the context of existence. String theory, for example, suggests that the fundamental particles in nature are not point objects, but vibrating strings. These strings vibrate at different frequencies, creating different types of particles and interactions. In fact, in quantum physics, everything from electrons to stars is connected with vibrational states and frequencies. The frequency at which a system or object vibrates determines its behavior and interactions with other objects in the system. This means that on a micro level, the universe can be viewed as a complex network of vibrating elements that interact with each other and create the possibility for all the forms and phenomena we observe. If everything is vibration and movement, this suggests a revision of traditional understandings of static objects and individualities. We are not simply isolated from the universe, but are in a constant process of interaction with it. Every action we take, every thought, every emotion is a form of vibration that affects our own existence and what is around us. Our body is composed of about 37 trillion cells, each of which has its own vibration and energy field. These cells are organized into tissues, organs, and systems that work in perfect harmony. Similarly, cosmic structures like galaxies and superclusters are organized and interact with each other through invisible forces such as gravity and quantum interactions. Just as galaxies in the universe are connected through dark matter and gravitational waves, the cells in our body communicate and interact with each other through biochemical signals and electrical impulses. These signals can be seen as vibrations of the cells that combine in synergy to maintain the entire organism in balance and functionality. Just as the universe vibrates at the level of quantum strings, our cells vibrate at the level of molecules and atoms. The possibility for harmony between the cells, which create functional organs, and the cosmic structures, which create harmony in nature, shows how everything is synchronized from the microcosm to the macrocosm. The cells in our body do not exist in isolation from each other. They interact, exchange information through chemical and electrical signals, and form complex networks. Just as our cells are interconnected in a whole network, so are all parts of the universe connected through interactions that sustain the existence of each component. As you have already learned, two elements that are quantum entangled have an instantaneous connection with each other, regardless of the distance between them. This leads us to the assumption that our cells are connected, whether they are inside the body or some of them are removed outside of it. They remain in contact. One of the most famous experiments demonstrating that cells can be connected to each other and outside the body is related to the phenomenon of cellular communication and electrical connectivity. These experiments reveal that cells continue to interact and exchange information even when they are physically separated from one another. One of the classic examples of experiments with cell cultures demonstrating continued connectivity between cells outside the body comes from the work of the Italian scientist Mauro Piscatelli in the 1970s. Piscatelli conducts research on cell culture and shows that the cells in culture continue to exchange electrical signals, even if they are physically isolated from the rest of the body. His experiments include the following. Piscatelli places animal cells in laboratory conditions as cell cultures, isolating them from the animal's body. Using microscopes and electrophysiological methods, he tracks the cell's responses to external stimuli, such as changes in the electric field or chemical. Substances. Although the cells are physically separated, they continue to respond to external signals and transmit impulses to each other through bioelectric pathways. This shows that cells have some kind of invisible connectivity that allows them to communicate even outside their natural context in the organism. Piscatelli discovers that the cells not only respond to external stimuli, but also maintain synchronized activity, which raises the question of the existence of energy or electric fields that can connect the cells even when they are isolated. During In 1991, John West, known for his work on cellular communication, conducted an experiment that showed cells can continue to interact through emissions of photon light even after being removed from the body. In this experiment, West used laser light to observe how cells placed in a cell culture emit light signals. West places the cells in a special laboratory environment where they do not receive any physical stimuli from the external world. Using lasers and light detectors, he discovers that the cells continue to emit small amounts of light, even when they are physically isolated from the body. These photon emissions indicate the possibility that cells communicate with each other through light signals or some invisible energy fields. Thus, the isolated cell is not completely independent, but continues to be part of a larger network of energy interactions. Another approach is the use of electric fields to observe cellular communication. Studies by scientists like Gabriel Liebert and Dimitrios Silviou during the 1980s have shown that cells can be stimulated and communicate with each other through small electric fields. They place the cells in a cell culture, using special sensors that measure the electrical impulses coming from the cells. The cells respond to these impulses, and these reactions can be tracked and observed even when the cells are separated from the organism. These impulses show that the cells continue to exchange electrical information related to their activity. This confirms that the cells, even outside the body, continue to respond to stimuli and maintain certain forms of internal communication. You already learned that in modern cosmology, the universe shows two main and opposite tendencies: expansion and gravity. What is the balance between these forces? The main balance between expansion and gravity depends on the amount and distribution of matter and energy in the universe. When matter is concentrated in certain areas, gravity prevails, and the universe may contract. For example, in the theory of the Big Crunch. But when dark energy begins to dominate, it accelerates the expansion, making it inevitable and unlimited. The possible balance is dynamic and changes depending on various factors, such as the composition of the universe and its age. This dual dynamic, expansion and attraction, is a symbol of two opposing forces that lead to the existence of the universe as we know it. The spiritual path of a person is also a process of two opposing forces: the aspiration for expansion and the internal attraction towards the center of our being. These two forces can be compared to the expansion of the universe and gravity, with each playing a fundamental role in our inner life. In a spiritual context, the aspiration for expansion is associated with the desire to expand our consciousness, to broaden our understanding of the world, other people, and ourselves. This is like the universe's desire to expand, to discover new horizons, to connect with ever larger and deeper truths. This expansion can be felt as a striving for personal and spiritual growth, a desire to overcome the limitations of our ego and establish a deeper connection with oneself and the whole of existence. At the same time, in the spiritual process, there is also an internal attraction. This is the striving for balance, for inner peace and stability, for the essence of ourself. This force is the opposite of expansion and can be seen as the gravity that pulls us toward our center, the foundation of our being, the true essence that does not change. This attraction to the center is connected with meditation, self-knowledge, and inner peace, which lead to a state of awareness, harmony, and balance. When this attraction is felt, a person begins to detach from the external world and connect more deeply with their inner essence. Just like in space, in spiritual life, this balance between expansion and centering is dynamic and variable. In some stages of our lives, we may feel the need to expand, to discover new perspectives and connect with new ideas, people, and experiences. This is a process of cosmic expansion that helps us grow and develop. At other times, however, we may feel the need to return to ourselves, to seek inner peace and free ourselves from external influences. Then we enter a phase of centering and stabilization, which is necessary for our spiritual well-being. The spiritual path is not only a pursuit of external expansion of consciousness and life, but also a deep internal attraction to the center of our self, where true peace and harmony reside. And as in the case of the universe, these two forces work together to help us achieve balance, expanding to new heights. But at the same time, we remain connected to our essence and the roots of our existence. One of the fundamental principles of existence that we can observe in nature is that everything is in constant motion and expansion. This applies both to the universe and to us as individuals, part of the larger whole. The universe, which began its expansion with the Big Bang, continues to expand even now. Even as gravity and dark energy interact and create balance, the main process is precisely expansion, because expansion is a fundamental part of the very essence of the universe. Similarly, in a spiritual and personal context, even though we constantly strive for inner attraction and stability, the natural course of existence is expansion. Our spirituality, our consciousness, and our perception of the world are constantly expanding. This expansion is not just about accumulating knowledge or experiences, but it is related to the depth of awareness of our place in the universe and our connection to everything else. We expand ourselves by expanding our compassion, love, and understanding towards the world and others. Laniakea, the supercluster of galaxies in which our Milky Way is located, is not only a scientific reality, but also an inspiring metaphor for the human journey and our place in the world. This massive cosmic structure unites hundreds of thousands of galaxies, and their connection shows how important the idea of interconnection is between us and everything that exists. Just as Laniakea is part of a larger cosmic unity, so we, as human beings, exist not only as individuals, but also as an inseparable part of a greater whole. Each of us is unique. We exist with our thoughts, feelings, desires, and perceptions. We are individuals with our own identity, but at the same time, we are part of a vast social, cultural, and spiritual network. Just as every galaxy in Laniakea has its own uniqueness, so does every person possess their own specific qualities and journeys. Nevertheless, neither the galaxies in Laniakea nor we as humans exist alone or in isolation. The galaxies in Laniakea are interconnected not only through gravitational interactions, but also through invisible yet powerful energy fields that unite them. We, like all people, are not isolated from the world around us. Every action, thought, and emotion we have reflects on our surroundings, and the world we live in shapes and determines our perception and growth. Even though galaxies appear to be separate objects, they do not exist in complete isolation. Each galaxy in Laniakea influences its neighboring galaxies, thereby building a vast interconnected structure. In the same way, we as humans exist in a network of connections. These connections can be emotional, social, physical, intellectual, and spiritual. Our relationships with family, friends, society, and nature shape our existence. When we look at Laniakea and understand that each galaxy is connected to the others through gravitational and energy fields, we can begin to realize that we, as part of human society, are connected through invisible and sometimes intangible forces. Our actions, as well as the actions of others, form the global network of humanity. We are part of nature, part of history, part of human progress and spiritual development. These invisible but powerful connections that unite us as individuals are linked to our feelings of belonging, compassion, and solidarity. When we think of Laniakea, we can imagine how each planet is connected in a dance with others around their star. The stars dance among themselves in forms of bliss, and a galaxy is part of a larger structure, united in beautiful order and balance. In the same way, people are connected with their hearts, emitting compassion and understanding. It is these that build human relationships and mutual structures. The whole is a projection of a single particle that has moved so quickly that it has manifested itself in billions of reflections. These reflections are mirrored from the smallest to the largest part of each element. The part contains the whole, and the whole is contained in the part. Laniakea means infinite skies. Where is the door to the endless skies within you?